as being involved in cooperative creative ordering. 24. During the middle of the 3rd millennium BC, Sumerian society became more urbanized. 15. 178–179 As a result of this, Sumerian deities began to lose their original associations with nature and became the patrons of various cities. 15. 179 Each Sumerian city-state had its own specific patron deity. 15. 179 who was believed to protect the city and defend its interests. 15. 179 Lists of large numbers of Sumerian deities have been found. Their order of importance and the relationships between the deities has been examined during the study of cuneiform tablets. 25. During the late 2000s BC, the Sumerians were conquered by the Akkadians. 15. 179 The Akkadians syncretized their own gods with the Sumerian ones. 15. 179 Causing Sumerian religion to take on a Semitic coloration. 15. 179 Male deities became dominant. 15. 179 And the gods completely lost their original associations with natural phenomena. 15. 179 180 People began to view the gods as living in a feudal society with class structure. 15. 179 181 Powerful deities such as Enki and Inanna became seen as receiving their power from the chief god Enlil. 15. 179 180 Major deities. Akkadian cylinder seal from sometime around 2300 BC or thereabouts depicting the deities Inanna, Uchu, Enki, and Isamad. 14. 32–33 The majority of Sumerian deities belonged to a classification called the Ainana, offspring of An, whereas 7 deities, including Enlil and Inanna, belonged to a group of underworld judges known as the Anunnaki, offspring of An+Ki. During the 3rd dynasty of Ur, the Sumerian pantheon was said to include 60 times 60, 3,600 deities. 15. 182 Enlil was the god of air, wind, and storm. 26. 108 He was also the chief god of the Sumerian pantheon. 26. 108. 27. 115 121 And the patron deity of the city of Nippur. 28. 58. 29. 231 234 His primary consort was Ninlil, the goddess of the Southwind. 30. 106 Who was one of the patron deities of Nippur and was believed to reside in the same temple as Enlil. 31. Ninurta was the son of Enlil and Ninlil. He was worshipped as the god of war, agriculture, and one of the Sumerian wind gods. He was patron deity of Gursu and one of the patron deities of Lagash. Sumerian cities each had their own gods but acknowledged the supremacy of Enlil. 32. Enki was god of fresh water, male fertility, and knowledge. 19. 75 His most important cult center was the Iabzu temple in the city of Eridu. 19. 75 He was the patron and creator of humanity. 19. 75 And the sponsor of human culture. 19. 75 His primary consort was Ninhursag, the Sumerian goddess of the earth. 19. 114 Ninhursag was worshipped in the cities of Kesh and Adab. 19. 140 Ancient Akkadian cylinder seal depicting Inanna resting her foot on the back of a lion while Ninshuba stands in front of her paying obeisance. C 2334-2154 BC. 33. 92. 193 Inanna was the Sumerian goddess of love, sexuality, prostitution, and war. 19. 109 Shu as the divine personification of the planet Venus, the morning and evening star. 19. 108–109. Her main cult center was the Eanna Temple in Iraq, which had been originally dedicated to An. 34. Deified kings may have reenacted the marriage of Inanna and Doom use it with priestesses. 19. 151, 157, 158 accounts of her parentage. Every winking sad smiley. 19. 108. In most myths, she is usually presented as the daughter of Nanna and Ningal. 33. 9/11, 16. But, in other stories, she is the daughter of Enki or An along with an unknown mother. 19. 108. The Sumerians had more myths about her than any other deity. 33, 13, 15, 14, 101. Many of the myths involving her revolve around her attempts to usurp control of the other deities' domains. 35. Ucha was god of the sun, whose primary center of worship was the Ibabar temple in Sippar. 36. Ucha was principally regarded as a dispenser of justice. Winking sad smiley. 15. 184. He was believed to protect the righteous and punish the wicked. 15. 184. Nanna was god of the moon and of wisdom. He was the father of Ucha and one of the patron deities of Yor. 37. He may have also been the father of Inanna and Ereshkigal. Ningal was the wife of Nanna. 38. As well as the mother of Ucha, Inanna, and Ereshkigal. Ereshkigal was the goddess of the Sumerian underworld, which was known as Ker. 15. 184. She was Inanna's older sister. 39. In later myth, her husband was the god Nergal. 15. 184. The gatekeeper of the underworld was the god Neti. 15. 184. Namu was a goddess representing the primeval waters, Inga, who gave birth to An, heaven, and Ki, earth, and the first deities. Whilish is rarely attested as an objective cult. She likely played a central role in the early cosmogony of Eridu, and in later periods continued to appear in texts related to exorcisms. 40. And was the ancient Sumerian god of the heavens. He was the ancestor of all the other major deities. 41. And the original patron deity of Uruk. Most major gods had a so-called Sakal, a minor deity serving as their vizier, messenger or doorkeeper. 42. Legacy. Akkadians. The Sumerians had an ongoing linguistic and cultural exchange with the Semitic Akkadian peoples in northern Mesopotamia 4 generations prior to the usurpation of their territories by Sargon of Akkad in 2340 BC. Sumerian mythology and religious practices were rapidly integrated into Akkadian culture. 43. Presumably blending with the original Akkadian belief systems that have been mostly lost to Assyrian stone relief from the temple of Ninurta-Kalhu, showing the god with his thunderbolts pursuing Anzu, who has stolen the Tablet of Destinies from Enlil's sanctuary. 19. 142. Austin Henry Lerard Monuments of Nineveh, 2 ND Series, 1853, History. Sumerian deities developed Akkadian counterparts. Some remained virtually the same until later Babylonian and Assyrian rule. The Sumerian Godin, for example, developed the Akkadian counterpart Anu. The Sumerian god Enki became Ea. The gods Ninurta and Enlil kept their original Sumerian names. Babylonians. The Amorite Babylonians gained dominance over southern Mesopotamia by the mid-17th century BC. During the Old Babylonian period, the Sumerian and Akkadian languages were retained for religious purposes. The majority of Sumerian mythologic literature known to historians today comes from the Old Babylonian period. 5. Either in the form of transcribed Sumerian texts, most notably the Babylonian version of the Epic of Gilgamesh, or in the form of Sumerian and Akkadian influences within Babylonian mythological literature, most notably the Enuma Eli. The Sumerian Akkadian pantheon was altered, most notably with the introduction of a new supreme deity, Marduk. The Sumerian goddess Inanna also developed the counterpart Ishtar during the Old Babylonian period. Hurrians. The Hurrians adopted the Akkadian god Anu into their pantheon sometime no later than 1200 BC. Other Sumerian and Akkadian deities adapted into the Hurrian pantheon include Ayas, the Hurrian counterpart to Ea, Shorshka, the Hurrian counterpart to Ishtar, and the goddess Ninlil, 44, whose mythos had been drastically expanded by the Babylonians. Parallels. Some stories recorded in the older parts of the Hebrew Bible bear strong similarities to the stories in Sumerian mythology. For example, the biblical account of Noah and the Great Flood bears a striking resemblance to the Sumerian deluge myth, recorded in a Sumerian tablet discovered at Nippur. 45, 97 101. The Judaic underworld Shil is very similar in description with the Sumerian Ka, ruled by the goddess Ereshkigal, as well as the Babylonian underworld Urkala. Sumerian scholar Samuel Noah Kramer has also noted similarities between many Sumerian and Akkadian proverbs and the later Hebrew proverbs, many of which are featured in the Book of Proverbs. 46, 133 135. Genealogy of the Sumerian deities. Anina Sayan Kiborn Tonaman Kaika Gaborn Tonaman Isabel born to Uriah Nin Sanin Lilan Lilnin Karaning Almabe daughter of Enlil Nanan Gal Mabeson of Enki Niner Tamabe born to Niner Sababa born to Orchin and possibly also daughter of Enki, of Enlil, or of Andu Musid Mabeson Lufenki Uchinin Kai Gal Mari Igner Gal Maklaya Lu Gal Bandanin Shuman. En Merkagilg Mjernangel. See also. Icon. Asia Portal. Ancient Semitic religion. Polytheistic religions of the Semitic peoples. Babylonian religion. Religious practices of Babylonia. Sumerian name given to the laws of the gods. Mesopotamian myths. Myths and religious texts originating in Mesopotamia. Religions of the ancient Near East. Overview of ancient religious practices in the modern-day Middle East. Sumerian literature. 18th-17th century BCE writings. Zuism. Icelandic modern pagan new religious movement. References.